Hey everybody, it's Chris Losarenko. Welcome to the 150th episode of Revolutions Per Movie. 274 episodes if I count the Patreon weekly bonus stuff. I want to thank everyone for listening, sharing it with your friends, telling people about it. It really helps. Again, I know I've beat the drum on this before. This is a completely independent show. I book, edit, and do all the promo myself. And I'm really proud that every guest that has come on the show is somebody that I have reached out to or wanted to talk to, and that it's a full extension of my excitement in film and music. So again, thank you. You know, when I was in the van 2.5 years ago or whatever with Victor Krummenacher, and I was just lamenting the end of the video store and how I miss talking about films with my customers, I just was like, I should do a show about music films. And Victor was the first to say, please do. I want to take a minute to thank anyone who supported the show over at patreon.com/revolutionspermovie. It is still the best way to support the show and the best way to keep the show going. I've just always been excited to create some sort of SCTV kind of networking over there with different programming and different series. And I'm just glad it's resonating with you. And because many of the Patreon shows rely on my co-hosts, I just need to say thank you to Andy Kindler, Mike Lisk, Rachel Leichman, Devin Bryant, Leela Corman, Jeff McDonald, Lisa Fancher, Ronnie Barnett, who has just come through on so many different shows. And now I'm doing a show with him and Rob Zabrecki called The Devotees Look at New Wave Theater that we've just started, where we're talking to bands that appeared on the show and unlocking some of the mysteries there. Victor Krummenacher, who was there in that van and has let me go through his life in Camper Van Beethoven and Monks of Doom and all the things he's done, just getting a complete history of his life and all the weirdness that has surrounded it. When we do Coffee with Krummenacher, thank you so much for being the first person to say, do the show. And I have to give a giant thank you and hug to Chalky, who is my co-host on A Very Opinionated Look at Urban Music War, What Makes the Midnight So Special, Rock and Roll Casting Call, and our recent series Exploring the Axis, which is an oral history of Frontier Records that we're doing with Lisa Fancher. Chalky, you are amazing. Just to have your insights and energy and kindness and all that we do and your strong weirdo opinions, it means a lot. You've been a total lifesaver. And I just want to say I love you and thank you. And I'll announce it here. Chalky and I are going to hit the road this fall with Erg, A Music War, as a Professors of Erg show will hopefully hit your town, where we'll be doing a presentation about all the weirdo stuff we've uncovered, doing over 60 hours of research and talk about the film. And we're just excited to be able to spend time in a car together and bring it to different cities. And lastly, I just want to say hi to my mom and dad. I know you're listening. I love you so much. They're the reasons I am who I am. They're the ones who would go see Snakefinger and MX80 Sound at an over 21 club when their children couldn't. They're the ones who grounded me when I drank for the first time and came home really sick and punished me the next day by making me go see Laurie Anderson. It was brutal. And I love that every week when I see you, you want to talk about Swamp Dogg, Red Cross, Pairs, or Gang of Four, or whatever I've talked about. It means so much. Thank you both so much. I couldn't be myself without who you were. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy the show. My guest this week is LOU Barlow. You know Lou from
Sebadoh
and
Folk Implosion on the marquee. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
And
Dinosaur Jr.
And it gives me great pleasure to welcome to Revolutions Per Movie, your postmodern folk core savior, LOU Barlow.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's my 150th episode, and you're here with me. So I appreciate that.
Oh, weird. My podcast just had the 150th episode.
I just saw that. And I wanted to ask you about that because, well, first I want to ask, how's the Barlow Family Store doing right now?
My wife rented a place right in downtown Greenfield. And like this just tiny building, just a wall on each side. It's just really brick building. And it was like reasonable rent. And she's like, I'm going to rent the building. And I'm like, okay. And then then she made it into a store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, what she did, she transformed this place. And I'm like, she just became this whirlwind of like inspiration and I don't know. And she's really good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like I just was totally blown away. And then the way that we engage with people at that store when we open up, it's like fucking awesome. It's really, really cool. Like there's always like a kind of a little clutch of like Sebadoh fans or whatever fans or Dino fans that just really come and like hang out with me a little bit while we wander around the store. And I find it so relaxing. And I'm like, wow, that really. And then I'm selling like all of these. I'm starting to just sell like an eclectic kind of bits of my record collection and used equipment and stuff like that. And that's really fun too, because then I like to talk to people about the records that I have for sale, and I guess it's that. I think it's reminding me that the way that the lifestyle that I've lived up until this point is actually very social, and if I don't have that regularly, I kind of feel a little crazy.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Oh, shit. I'm like, I have to admit it. I'm like, I need people too. I need them to come and talk to me and validate me, and like I need that. I'm like, holy shit! But we've had the kookiest, kind of funniest little interactions with people, and it's made us more a part of our community too. Like we've been kind of like becoming more and present in our community because through our child's school and stuff, and we live in. It's not a big place, so I think we're finally, the small town is kind of taking us over, where we were before that. We were definitely like, oh, we're total ex-Angelinos because we both spent the prime of our lives in Los Angeles, my wife and I. And I mean, I love Los Angeles a lot, so much. Like, God, I fucking adore that place. And I desperately would want to die there, basically.
There's a few graveyards there, Lou, that
I'm headed right to Forest Lawn. I'm like,
okay.
I want to be buried at Forest Lawn. Doesn't have to be Hollywood Forever tucked next to fucking, Dee Dee or whatever.
I love that you can go and get a lathe cut of you doing Institutionalized with a Lou Barlow bandana, And one of the things I love about the podcast you do with Adele is just when the moments of you sharing your youth in hardcore with her and breaking down like her. I love it because I'm with someone too that didn't grow up, she's from Glasgow. So she didn't grow up with like Minor Threat and Deke Kreutzen and Void and, Negative Approach and stuff. And
very few people did. Let's be clear.
True. They
don't have to be from Europe. They can also be from anywhere in the United States and have no idea what you're fucking talking about.
But it's so funny because it's just, I always am like, this was the most unhealthy music for me to listen to with where I was in my maturity as a human. But it got me through, and I just love that you get to experience that with her, and then break the songs apart. Your podcast is amazing, Lou.
Oh, thanks. I really, I love it. I love how it's evolved. I love what it puts me. I love how the level of, because I poured so much fucking energy into that. I mean, that thing was like for almost 3 solid years. I was coming up with, and I don't mean, I'm just gonna say it. I kept coming up with funky ass shit like every single day.
Right.
And I was like, and I'm quoting Snoop Dogg. I don't know if you caught that. somehow, some way, I keep coming up with funky ass shit like every single day. And I've always been so driven by that quote. And I just really hit a real fucking stride with the podcast, and it was pretty awesome. And now I'm partially deaf. And like, I'm like, yeah, but I just go through I don't know. I like growing with that podcast right now. I love the way I'm growing with it. I love that it's documentation. I'm really into documentation. I think in the most basic way, what I really, really adore is documentation. But when you make and this, I'm going to fucking force this into the Pantera thing because it's so fresh on my mind. But that fucking video it is raw documentation. Like and it's creative as fuck. Like they have I can just go.
But before people don't even know what we're going to get to, which is Lou kindly brought to my attention this 1993 Pantera VHS tape called Vulgar video that that band put out. And then I immediately countered with the Sebadoh tour video that you did from the same year as a counterpoint, because there are similarities and so much difference.
Oh, yeah.
But it is an era where people were able to start documenting every moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell with them, the camera was always on. And for you on that tour, the camera seemed to always be on too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be fascinating to talk about. But I do want to ask you too about the podcast and documentation and just the amount of ideas coming through you every single day. But I feel like with you, only you could have made like Show Tape 91, like to play before you come on, like just so interweaved and so punishing, but so amazing to an audience waiting. And I'll put a clip here if people aren't familiar with it.
Sebadoh, featuring that guy who played bass in Soul Asylum, LOU BARLOW. Another evening of oppressive noodling courtesy of Sebadoh. Three guys in search of the eternal party, Sebadoh. Please take me away. Open chord tuning saviors of alternative rock and roll, Sebadoh.
But to do stuff like that, you have to just put the time in and just be willing to sit when it's sunny out and just make stuff. There's something about coming out of the post-hardcore thing and the amount of work you were putting out in Sebadoh and Sentridoh that was touching me on such a like honest primal level that I couldn't believe that someone was sharing so much with me that wasn't like the Minor Threat kind of preachy way, and it wasn't the oblique, gauzy, lyrical way. It was just super honest. And I just wanted to thank you for that, because those records still live with me. And even like on your new record, you know, the last record, Reason to Live, like Clouded Age, the lyrics on that are so, it's like time travel, Lou. It's really amazing that you still know how to share parts of yourself with us.
I adore songwriting, and I adore creating things. I mean, I try to do it when I really want to do it, you know? And I'm finding actually in my old age, I'm like, wow, you know, I think it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing for me because it's really a natural way for me to live. It's sort of a curse in terms of like professionally, it's a curse because I do really get sick of things, and I really do have to change like regularly.
Right.
You know, but then again, I also am just I'm very loyal to my projects and the people that I worked with. But I really I guess the point is I really like it. And I really and now, I mean, now things take me a lot longer. The podcast was kind of a cool, it keeps a cool kind of immediacy that I like. It keeps a little spark going through my days and keeps me engaged, because I always end up thinking of something and going oh yeah, you know, and hit the 4-track or talk to Adele about it, or she comes up with it. Anyway, it always comes together on a kind of a regular basis, which is pretty miraculous considering we've done it for almost 4 years. But anyway, I let my songs fucking stew. I let them fucking sit for years until they fucking make sense to me. I just like, and I just enjoy that so much. I can't even, and then some, I mean, and when I say sitting with years, it doesn't mean that when I sit down, like the version that comes out is not almost the closest to the original idea that I could get. I walked it back and forth, and I held its hand, and if it woke me, if I thought about it, if it woke me up, if I just really relied on the things that just pop up naturally in my brain and that I can remember really easily.
Right.
I was legitimately totally prolific for a good chunk of my early life. Like, I was very prolific. I was writing all the time. I was recording all the time. I put almost everything out. I mean, I didn't hide. I put it all out like it was the most fascinating. It was just a big part of the story that I was telling. And I got really into that because I was also an avid listener at the time myself. I was like just absolutely devoted to music and devoted to new music and really fascinated with the musical conversation that was happening and the way people pass influences down. I mean, I'm like total fuck. I just loved that so much. And I loved what I really loved about hardcore was that it was like this, it just seemed like it seemed like folk music. Like structurally, the way that it was put together was so basic and so primal, and the way that kids could gather around this barely skeletal version, like so stripped down, like that actually took every essence away from what we consider music, like just stripped it all down, and then everybody built from this, and it's just that explosion that happened at that time. And I mean, hardcore, of course, became very structured and became much like what we're going to talk about. And that's actually a very logical, that's a logical part of the story from hardcore. But the fact that and then it was like anything. It's like it was just truly amazing. And even just what led up to that point, like the whole artistic breakdown of the late 70s, and the introduction of new wave and the way that like led into this is fucking I just find it the most fascinating thing. And I was obsessed with it then. And I'd fucking started, and the minute that I could record something and play it back to myself, I was like, I am part of the fucking flow. I'm doing this because that was the thing that was so extraordinary too, was that it wasn't about rock. It wasn't about stars, and it wasn't about anything that you thought that rock music was. Yet at the same time, totally tied to what brought it to life in the first place. It was just, I was like, I love that. And there was just a beautiful, didn't last long. And people say this about the early punk days too, is that like, there was pretty much like maybe a year or maybe a year and a half which was sort of the supernova from which these other styles came out of. And,
right.
Like real punk rock in England was like quick. It's like 76, whatever. And then by 77, they were over with it, and they were fucking going to their art schools and taking, and creating incredible post-punk bands, which is, to me, the true meat. That shit, I love it so much. Like, oh my God. Like,
me too.
Any fucking like late 70s, early 80s English.
Oh no, I hear you. I got to talk to like Leslie Woods from the Pairs.
Oh my God.
I'm just like freaking out. Like, you don't understand. Like,
God, I heard a band, the Bush Tetras. I heard the Bush Tetras on the radio. Like, I must have been 1980. I heard them on the radio. I was pretty young. And I was like, oh my God. Like, it was like so fucking good. So that stuff, anyway, I don't know what my point is, but the point is that I was really inspired by music and I wanted to be a part of it. So, and what I really liked were bands that shit out material. I thought it was fantastic. You know, the Minutemen. Oh my God, they were huge. It was like it was topical on them. They were like every 2 to 3 months, something is out in some form on some label in some way.
I know.
All fucking great. And it's all right from the same fucking source. They're telling their story. It's like, they're doing it very unselfconsciously. So, although, you know, but they're also just huge fans, you know?
Yeah. And that feeling of like walking into a store and seeing the Joy EP by Minutemen and not realizing it was like shaking, like this stuff would appear in a store without any warning.
I mail ordered all that shit. I went right to that. I was like, I mailed all of it. There was very few records that I found in a store. Like I mail ordered everything. I was just obsessed.
What were you sending in the mail? Were you sending
cash?
Money? Yeah, me too. I remember that. I sent cash to Wax Trax in Chicago, and I got the stuff back.
Yeah. I would send cash to Ian Mackay for whatever, you know, for the first Discord record. And get a little thing back. Thanks, Ian. You know, I'd be like, wow, great.
Isn't that amazing that like
quickly, it was like within a week and 2 weeks or something, it would be back. And then I would do bulk orders with Toxic Shock and Pomona. I might have convinced my parents to write checks for that. I'm not sure. But I would make orders of like, you know, $30, which meant
that was a lot.
Plethora of fucking 7-inches. And I was working for that. I was doing my paper. That was my paper. 100% paper route money, you know. It was great.
Yeah, I was cleaning, like doing janitorial teenage stuff to get money to do that. And then most of my stuff was also going to Ralph Records. I would send them cash, which I felt like a real kinship, like, you know, like songs like Hassle, where the things slow down and things build. It's just like in the murkiness, I was like, oh, Lou could have been on Ralph Records with Tuxedo Moon and MX80 Sound.
One of the most important records of my life. I got the fucking first edition of the Buy or Die 7-inch.
Killer.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, with the Gary Panter cover.
$1. You send $1 away to Ralph Records.
Yeah.
You're ordering for a sampler. It doesn't even tell you I might mention the band, but you have no idea. You know, you're like, okay. And you send this $1.
I know.
And they send you a vinyl 33 RPM EP of 4 bands.
Yep.
And they you know, they chose like the best songs by the bands too. These were not like,
absolutely.
They chose like cream of the crop. So I think the first one had a Resident song, but they put 3 from the commercial record. So it was like 3 songs from the commercial record. And then a Snakefinger song that truly, I've not heard it since then. I've had it on that record, and it was like one of my most favorite songs like ever. It was called Trashing All the Loves of History by Snakefinger. And it's insane. So fucking good. And then Renaldo and the Loaf, like, oh my, that shit.
Obsessed with them.
Great. That Songs for Singing Larvae is like really, truly.
It's incredible.
One of the most unique records ever.
They made up their own language. There's no electronics on the record.
No, and it's not even like, and it's not even a fucking gimmick. It's just like, it's like when people talk about like, well, they played the studio like an instrument. You're like,
yes.
Like even like when you realize what the Beatles did, you're like, wow, yeah, they really did. They really used the studio like an instrument. And then you hear Renaldo on Your Life Loaf, and you're like, oh God, they literally.
Oh,
it was their whole. But then their songs are super catchy, and oh my God.
Yeah, I was obsessed. My parents, so Snakefinger came to town and they played. It was over 21. So me and my brother waited for them to show up in their van and have them sign our Greener Postures record and things like that.
Right.
And then my parents went to the show later that night.
Wow.
So they could come home and tell us how the show was. Did they play Man in the Dark Sedan? Yeah, I think so and stuff. It was very sweet.
Oh yeah.
But like that was cool. It was like I'm sure my parents are listening. I'm going to thank them right now. Thank you for going to see MX80 Sound. And
You saw MX80?
They went and saw them for us because we couldn't get in.
I could never figure that band out. I'm like, I think I need to try to listen to them again because they like confounded me from the time that I heard them. I bought Crowd Control.
Yeah.
And I bought the 1F. I brought the first one and this.
Out of the Tunnel.
Out of the Tunnel. I bought Out of the Tunnel and then Crowd Control.
Yeah.
And both of them just like.
There's not an easy thing, but like Someday You'll Be King is incredible. That song, that single, and that song, that's the one.
Maybe someday. That was incredible. You'll be king. That's like,
I know. And the solo is so Greggian.
And just that song, it predates a bunch of shit, like too.
Yeah.
That's their hits. I forgot. It is. I was like, that's the hit.
And then the rest was hard.
I was like, oh God, it's almost like, is this heavy metal? Like, what's happening?
Is this jazz? I don't know. Yeah.
Really, like, it's like, this is actually kind of giving me a headache.
No, I totally agree.
There was I saw somebody on Instagram going like, the great forgotten MX80. And I'm like, maybe they're great now. I tried so hard, but Someday You'll Be King is like, oh, fucking tremendous. Oh my.
It's so good. The reason I love doing the show is that no one comes in and says, I want to do Dylan's Don't Look Back. I want to do Song Remains the Same. I want to do Hard Day's Night. They're like, I want to do the Pantera Vulgar video VHS tape, which is, I really do love it because there's so much to say when somebody brings in the subject. So Pantera, I knew nothing about.
I think they're from Texas.
Yeah, they're from Arlington, Texas.
Where is Arlington?
Where is Arlington?
Where the fuck is Arlington? Within the...
I've heard of it. Texas is where? Let's see. Arlington, Texas. It's part of the Mid-Cities region of the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington metropolitan.
Got it.
The weird thing about Pantera at this juncture, they even have some songs in this video about it, about people saying you've sold out and you're rock stars now and you suck, like friends of theirs and peers. And it's so funny because I'm like, yeah, the same thing happened in the indie world. Like you couldn't go above your station. You couldn't dream, and it's so fascinating that a band that can sell like 100,000 copies of a VHS tape is going to still get shit.
But it makes perfect sense. It's like, it's all part of that weird politic. It was like hardcore punk rock was very political, super political.
Yeah.
I mean, and not just like political in the open, like, Ronald, fuck you, Ronnie kind of, you know what I mean? It's not Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that. It's like, there's a lot of scene politics really early on. And then metal, I mean, I've got theory. I read a fucking really great autobiography by this guy. He was a guitar player for Exodus, who came out of the Bay Area speed metal scene, and he was like, he replaced Kirk Hammett in Exodus when Kirk was poached for Metallica. And it's this whole book.
Oh wow, okay.
It's this fascinating book about how the Bay Area metal scene came together and how incredibly influential it was, because all of those bands, I mean, Slayer were an LA band, but Metallica poached Cliff from the Bay Area scene. And Cliff only joined the band because he was like, I'll be in your band, but you got to move here. So they actually moved to the Bay Area.
Smart.
Because they were like, we have to have Cliff. I mean, it's really, so anyway, but there was a big thing in that scene of like false metal, there was like, it was just,
yeah,
it was very political, and that was the one thing that I remember. That's kind of why I never followed like hardcore punk rock. To me is like such a particular flavor. And I have I had no interest in anything that was called hardcore after 1985 even. I was just like, I don't care what you call that. It's so fucking, it's so boring. It makes me want to fucking scream. And anybody who's making interesting music is like, they could be fast as fuck, but don't fucking talk. Don't fucking play those power chords.
Right.
Like, stop.
Enough is enough.
But you've completely homogenized this beautiful ragged art form. So fuck you. Like, I don't care anymore.
No, it's true. I mean,
like,
that's why we're starting to put money in the envelopes to get a Beefeater record instead.
Right.
So yeah, we're just like we're full. We've done it, and now we're ready for
Beefeater. Yeah. Right. I guess that it didn't surprise me that somebody shot Dimebag, because as this video attests, and I swear to God, this thing, like, it's a sociological document for one thing. It's like, I loved it when it came out. Like, when it came out, I thought it was the funniest fucking thing I'd ever seen. I watched it over and over again with my friends. It was like, we had a mania for this video.
Did you like metal then at all? Did you have a metal bone in your body?
Always appreciated metal. Like, I'm a metalhead. Let's just say I'm a metalhead, because I am.
Okay.
Spiritually. I am absolutely spiritually totally aligned with the music. I think it's tremendous. The best metal songs are some of the best songs. It's like,
Absolutely.
I love it, but I have to microdose it as an adult.
I was so late to it. I didn't have none of my friends were listening to metal, and I didn't have an older brother or sister.
I didn't listen.
It was like really late to it, and it was kind of almost more fun.
Yeah, I liked Black Sabbath. That was impossible.
Right.
Black Sabbath are also they too, in the 60s, they did to rock back then what hardcore did to, like, heavy metal. It's like, right. They too, like, they pretty much stripped down everything into the most basic shit, and the Ramones did it anyway. But hardcore as a movement kind of did it too. But Black Sabbath and the Ramones were truly like forebears and everything to this. So of course, anything that comes from that well, and metal absolutely comes from that well.
Yeah, and I grew up with, like, Poison Idea, who were really metal. You know what I mean?
Game metal.
But I love them.
I mail ordered their first cassette, and it was hardcore. It was like full on Black Flag style, like.
Absolutely. Yeah. The first Pick Your King EP is incredible.
Insane.
Record Collectors, all that stuff. But
yeah,
but then it was like all of a sudden they've got dual guitar players named Vegetable and Mondo.
I know, because bands did that. 1984. That's like, yeah. 1984. There was pretty much this huge, like, division right down the middle of the scene, and I saw it happen with my friend. I had one of my best friends and the bass player of my first hardcore band. He went metal. He was like, he heard the Metallica cassette or whatever. He heard,
sure.
He was like, what the fuck? That was like, Accept put out Fast as a Shark. It was this absolutely insane single. Everybody heard it. It was completely like, holy fuck. And then Venom did like Bloodlust by Venom. And then it was like, just this, all of a sudden this mayhem started to rise, and it was like, so toxic.
Yeah, from the underground too, which was funny. They were the underground, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it kind of split, and my opinion was, at that time, I thought the more fastidious people, the more fastidious you were, and the more like you went metal.
Okay.
And if you were like crazier, you went whatever the fuck was happening back then, which is like Swans and fucking Birthday Party and the Butthole Surfers and like shit that was like truly also totally out of control.
Stuff that makes you roll your eyes back in your head. Yes.
Yeah.
I was listening to like Coil and Neubauten and Birthday Party, like you said. It was like, I just wanted, and it was, Laughing Hyenas. It was like whatever was the most like raw,
super
freaked out thing. I was like totally there.
Yeah.
I was totally there. So for me, there was a stigma, like, metal. Yeah, when Jerry A came on for Poison Idea to talk about the premiere of Decline of Western Civilization playing in Portland, Oregon, it's like there were still fights happening between metalheads and punk rockers outside the theater. You know what I mean? It's like, I think there was a bit of a like anti-metal stance that I grew up with, which, you know, is just funny to think about.
It was like, well, the thing is, like, when I read that book by the guy from Exodus, I think the thing that was really, I wouldn't say humbling, because I really never considered indie rock to be like a social force. I was like, but, you know, I think the brute, like, commercial, sociological, like, that fucking speed metal became like a cultural movement. And it was so powerful. And it was like, I think the incredible thing about the Pantera video is that at the time, 93, they were easily the most badass band in the world. There was really nothing. This is pre like Slipknot and shit like that, you know. If you just think about I think their record was Cowboys from Hell, but they had something else like brutal display of power, but they had this very rhythmic, they were better than Slayer. They were actually like the only band that at that time that kind of sounded almost as good as them was Sepultura. And they were just like, I actually like Sepultura better because they were more melodically pleasing to me and whatever, but I was still a dabbler at that. I mean, I was becoming a metal dabbler at that point, because I could not fucking do what you have to do when you love metal or punk, is listen to it all day fucking long. Right. You know, like that, you are completely, it just overtakes you. It overtakes your life. It becomes an obsession. It motivates you. It's just the engine of your life, you know, when you're a kid, you know, like music can really, and that kind of music and that, I mean, that's what I did. The Ramones, I did everything to the Ramones, everything except jerk off. I didn't listen to any music when I jerked off, but otherwise it was like constant music. And it was like,
right.
And when I discovered the Ramones, that's what I would put on when I'm like, I got to clean my room. My mom's really mad. I'm like, okay. And then I would sit and I'd play first album all the way to, I guess it would have been End of the Century that I would have had at the point, and I'd play them all back to front, beginning to go back if I had to. It was just 100% Ramones energy, and that's what that music really does. But I'm going to say that I just watching the video now, and I think I remember being so. There was of course this irony to loving this video for me. I mean, because it was like I was a fucking such an asshole. Actually, I was an asshole, to be perfectly honest. I was very opinionated, and I talk shit about bands all the time. And I was just kind of, I mean, some people thought I was a total asshole. Other people I completely bonded with, but I was kind of like, I don't know. I was like shooting my mouth off in interviews. And I mean, when we would play Chicago, that was always kind of edgy because there was a lot of people there, and that would be, I mean, we existed in an edgy environment.
But I think, is that a bit of a hangover from also loving things that pushed, though? Like,
oh yeah.
Butthole Surfers and Scratch Acid. You're part of that whole thing.
See, this is my sob story about the whole thing. My sob story is that I got caught right in the crosshairs, right when there was a shift, right when like, hey, we're not assholes. Because before that, it was like being an asshole was completely okay. In fact,
absolutely,
it was almost preferable, and it was more entertaining, and it made the shows funner. It made everything. It's like when people come to town and they bring their bullshit to town, it's like you want to go there. It was just this thing. And even with like punk, and like there was a real solidarity in the early hardcore scene, you know, which was awesome. But still, like right where I'm at, there's just like the half generation older than me were all punks, and they all got beat up. They all got beat up and shit. And being a punk was like, you were really fucking with things, and so they're kind of a rougher crowd. They're not that much older. They're like, they can right now, they're maybe like they're I don't know, 62, 63 even. They're just
right. They're like 5 years
break there. And that's where, I mean, God, I could go on about it, but people like Mike Watt, Ian Mackay, Henry Rollins, like these people come from like they came from an aggressive, even like a really aggressive time, and more like you're going to get arrested, you're going to get the shit beat out of you. You're like, they just much more aggressive, charged social environment. But anyway, like, so you had a real defense, and bands that you saw had a defense. And I had a real defense, but I was caught like right when it was fucking Superchunk, they were like Smiling, and then Merge Records, and like the bands were really nice, and then like they weren't acting like assholes in interviews. They were just saying like, no, we really like this band. I mean, like what? It's just, and Sonic Youth, like they had a shit ton of attitude, but they were also like just completely. They talked so openly about their love of art and music, and they shared so much. That band, like they just left this trail of enlightenment behind them wherever they went, because they just really, from the very beginning, even when they were only playing to like half full clubs or whatever, it's like the people that came, and then the information that was exchanged in the course of these.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. But Thurston also, he's also from that kind of a little bit older and little. So there was a kind of an almost evangelical part of that little thing, but it was also edgy because Sonic Youth were super scary. They were never nice on stage.
Yes, totally.
They were like assholes on stage. It was scary. It's like, wow, Jesus, Kim looks really angry tonight. Like, I mean, it was really like, ah. But then I just became like, right, 93, 94, whatever, that, like we were still, Sebadoh was still kind of swinging our dicks around our tiny, whatever. But I was like, I don't like Pavement. Just.
Well, I mean, Portland shows were always wild. Like I was at the show where somebody threw a bottle at you guys. I think it was somebody
who knew us who threw that bottle.
Of course.
There you go. I developed a theory long after the fact.
Yeah. But I saw like, and it was like the audience also got really caught up in it. Like they kind of knew that something could go down at a show then. It was kind of amazing because I saw you at the Pine Street before it became La Luna. And because I was on Sub Pop then, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, a band I love is coming. Like, they're the greatest. I dragged people down. And you started with the last song in Sebadoh 3, Eric's really long song.
Yeah.
You got 2 minutes into it, then you all switched instruments. You played Vampire a bit. You stopped that, then you went that. And it was like, I was like, oh, this is what Sebadoh is. But every time I saw you, it was a completely different show. Right. And that used to happen. Like you weren't gonna, every time you saw Sonic Youth, it wasn't the same show. And I feel like it was, that must have been really weird to have people kind of be like, well, I just want to hear the songs. When you're like, well, I just kind of want to do what I feel like.
I mean, I had a friend of mine tell me once, he was like, we were in the midst of this. It was I think it was for Harmacy. We had a bus. And we brought our crazy friend along with us to be like the roadie, quote unquote. And we had this insane road crew with like this woman who was a roller skated. Like she had her ex-boyfriend was in Jesus Lizard, and she roller skated with Daisy Dukes on, and she just was from Texas and kicked ass. And then we had a female sound engineer who was also from Austin. And then we had I don't know. It was just a really cool mix of the band and they like these kind of cool women that we knew. And we just had these 2 incredible tours of just so much emotion, like so much drama, like wonderful drama and fun like I've never had in my life. I mean, just an incredibly, but fun, but also like very heavy time, like one of the crew members became pregnant during the tour. I mean, it was just wild, wild emotional life, which kind of ties in with the Pantera thing. But and now I'm lost again. But we had this wonderful but anyway, our roadie, or my friend, one night, after one long crazy night, and he was like, you just take your whole day onto stage. onto the stage every night. You take everything that happens in the day. Like if there's a lot of drama in the day, you bring it to the stage. If it's like this weird, like chill day, you know, and we all have things kind of flowing, you bring that to the stage. But it's kind of volatile. And I was like, oh God, I'd never even thought about it. But it was absolutely true. And I remember feeling like, I don't know if like entitled is the right word, but I felt like I felt like I had to do that. It's hard to say. I mean, because I'm not even, a lot of times that shit though, you don't even know you're carrying it.
Right.
You don't even know. I mean, it's just like you're carrying, and then just touring that way too. Every day was really like, every day was different. You walk into a whole new thing. You walk into a whole new vibe. You walk into a fucking, either they're with you or they're against you. And maybe they're really against you. And maybe some fuck idiot in your crew or whoever in your deal, like maybe they got up on the wrong side of the bed, and then you just follow in their wake as they pick fights with everybody all day long. And you're like, oh my God. But they don't do that every day. Some days they do. It's like they wake up it's like somebody, your friend, your bandmate, this person that you really know and love, they have a terrible day, and you either hate them for that and fight them.
I think it is apt because the Pantera VHS, a lot of it is self-documentation.
Yeah.
And them going through like trying to make each other laugh, trying to get through the boredom, trying to get through just the weird backstages that are just blankly generic. And then on your thing, there's some similar beats in terms of just trying to kill time, filming a Denny's plate that's got a smear of ketchup on it,
right,
like a Malto meal box, busting into somebody, like in a hotel room. The way that, like, when you got a hold of a camera then, because that was you, right? You bought the camera, correct?
Yeah.
Did you have it on all the time? Like, what was your...
Oh, I mean, everything that you see in those videos is everything I filmed.
Oh, God, that's so interesting coming from you.
I didn't edit anything. I didn't know. I only put it on. I put it on rarely because it made people incredibly uncomfortable.
Right. So
I only filmed things that I could do discreetly. I rarely ever, like, no one talks, or like there's no conversations. They're all static shots or very slow moving shots that I thought I could get away without being noticed. So, because I couldn't really.
Wow.
But I don't know. I almost hesitate to say why that is, because I don't want to make it seem like my bandmates were super self-conscious, or
right.
I don't want to put that on them, and I don't want to say like I was just trying to film and they just didn't want to be filmed, because that's way more complicated than that. And it's the Sebadoh dynamic was always volatile, and because we were volatile, like we were just like I was saying, we were volatile. Like we would,
right.
If the wrong things happened in the wrong order someday, we could literally be fighting. Like we could be, the kookiest shit happened, but it was all very real and kind of dramatic, really, ultimately.
Yeah. But this thing you made, which is amazing, because I just thought, knowing you, I was like, okay, Lou probably had 18 boxes of, little cassettes for this camera, and he had to go through and pick through. But it's kind of fascinating because the things that you do document in it are kind of sweet, like, let's go to the Gaffney Peach.
I thought I would just have to figure it out and sit there and then do it as like anonymously as possible. Oh, I didn't edit anything.
Wow. It's really amazing.
I didn't every single shot. I don't know. It's hard to describe, because to me, I'm kind of like I think that's kind of interesting. I wonder why more people don't like it or watch it. And it's just like it's all just shots. Like, to describe it for people, it's like it's 1, 2, 3, 3-second, 4-second shots, but it's two full tours in 1 hour. With only the shots I took. But then for what's on YouTube for it, or what I built it into, I went and found performances online that matched eras. So the performances are from other people, unauthorized use of other people's Sebadoh live recordings that I snagged off of YouTube, but I put it in there so there could be the context of the music as well. And that actually worked out pretty well too.
No, I love it. Like, going to Radio Shack to buy a boombox, and then there's a sequence where you're just driving. You have these little subtitles. You're driving to some guy's house to smoke marijuana and jam. And then you're like, more jamming. And it's like, it's like time for me to sleep on the floor. But I'm really, God, it makes me love it even more that it was just kind of on the fly.
A camera brings what the camera brings is it's so heavy. And especially back then, literally, it was literally a heavy camera. But
okay.
But it's also, but it would be, it's like introducing this whole other thing into the scene, especially back then,
Yeah.
I mean, because even though like people were getting used to handheld stuff and getting used to like VHS and home recording and stuff with video, but still, it's like bringing a whole other person into the room.
Well, you still got to catch Polvo losing acid on a floor and looking for it.
Sometimes when people are because that's the thing, is like when it gets crazy, it's great. And everybody loves it. Everybody plays into it and things unfold. And the Pantera thing is like, it is so fucking crazy. And I really think like you think, because when we're talking about them being backstage and you're saying actually, all those places are dirty as fuck. Every place that they're at is so fucking grungy and gross.
Yes.
And it's one of the most, it is so fucking gross. The whole video is absolutely disgusting from beginning to end. Like there is no, it's pre-Jackass, but total fucking mayhem and nothing held back. It's like, nothing. Like they just the opening montage of I was like when it started, and it's basically these incredible, they're very, very well edited montages that all just flow between. I think there's 4 music videos that are intolerable. They go on forever.
Yeah, they're horrible. But Darrell edited this too. It's kind of amazing.
Darrell basically, you can tell right away when I realized it back then, because I was like, this is really cool that he did that. But now watching it again, I'm like, he was a genius. Like Dimebag Darrell was a fucking genius.
It says Mr. Dimebag Darrell and Mr. Arnberger spent many hours in front of and behind the video camera and even more countless hours in front of the editing monitor. So the two of them.
What they did, the montages are genius. Montages of puking, of wounds, bruises, topless montages, and it's just this sea of shit, with some little I think they did some music interstitial music, just little things. But then even though it's all shot right off a camera, right with with camera mics, that's the other thing is even though it was shot with just a regular camera, it's rarely murky. You can hear what you need to hear, and it's it's a nonstop fucking in-joke, harsh fucking male, deeply fucking just boy mayhem.
Yeah. Destroying hotel rooms.
Hard drugs. Who knows where the real hard, they don't show the hard drugs.
Right.
That's the only thing they don't show. Everything else is completely.
Yeah. Weed, whiskey. It's all there.
The most, and it is fearless. It's there's let's fuck with the cop. Let's it is you can't, the sense, there's so much energy in it that it's astounding. When I started to watch it today, I was like, I don't think, because they start with an alcohol montage, and I'm like, I don't think I can do this. I'm like, it's so disgusting.
The first shot is somebody opening a door, and the second shot is busting into somebody on the toilet. And then you're like, it's just from there, you're in. Already within 5 seconds, the tone is set. I do love that sequence where Dimebag Darrell is like, hey, this is me in Canada. Hey, this is me in London. Hey, this is me in Europe. Hey, I just got ripped off in Atlantic City. And it's like, it's so well edited.
Exactly. Because the other incredible saving grace of this and the genius of it is that whoever's doing all that backstage footage is holding the fucking camera still and is allowing the scenes to unfold and giving you a sense of like being like, you feel like, oh fuck, I'm backstage with a bunch of like super duper hammered guys from like Texas, and they just took a fucking knife to the fan, and they're going to destroy the fan. They're going to break it into tiny pieces. They're going to descend upon this fan. With what they did, like the level of like, it's violent. Like they rip apart hotel rooms, and it's not fun. It's just like, you're like, there is a real sense of danger. There is a part in the video where there are a large group of evangelical Christians inside of their hotel room.
Amazing.
Calling them out as Satan and trying to save their souls. And it's for real.
Yeah, they say you and your camera will rot in hell.
Yeah. No, and then as they're walking down the hall, one of the guys goes, "We have just witnessed a great scene of Satan." You know, like, and then Phil Anselmo's like, "Fuck you." I mean, it's like, and it's raw. But whoever was like filming that thing is like, they had an angle. They thought it's just they had a very talented camera operator doing that shit, and then also anything that Darrell also seems to have a real steady hand and and the way that they circle all of their little catchphrases.
Yeah, the in joke stuff, that can only happen through band language, the in jokes. And like, I mean, there's that great, I think you put it together. There's a different tour where you got a hold of a little tiny toy that plays shred riffs on a guitar, like a little toy that goes, and you can tell it's never leaving your sight. Like it's like hours of you just walking around in the van, outside of the van, just going, and it's like, I know what it's like. You're barely human. You know what I mean? And things like that will sometimes ground you a little. Just the little in jokes.
I have to say, I think because I'm really lucky. There's, because I spent from 19, let's like 19, 20, 21. Yeah. From like 19 to 20 till I was 23, I toured with Dinosaur Jr. like extensively. Like we did the States many times.
I saw you at the Blind Pig when you were Dinosaur. I was visiting my girlfriend. Friday night, Screaming Trees. Saturday night, Flaming Lips. Sunday, Dinosaur.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
Yes. Yeah, and I talked to you about hardcore.
Yeah, anybody ever want to talk to me, just drop.
I didn't know if it was come up, but I saw my chance. I was like, but yeah, it was incredible. And every band got louder and louder that weekend. Like, it was like incredible.
But I think because of that experience, like I spent, and it was miserable. And I did feel subhuman,
Yeah.
I was like living it was right. It was very hard. It was a really, really, really hard time. And I didn't really, I think I don't remember most of it because I have no good memories of it.
That makes total sense.
But I also don't have memories like where, the real explosions were very few and far between. It was very chill, but it was also like just the underlying resentments and uncertainty were just brain damaging. But so when I was kicked out of Dinosaur, I did have a thought. I was like, I'm never going to tour again. I'm like, damn. I'm like, shit. Like, I actually had the thought, like, fuck those assholes. I hate them. I don't want to be on the road with them. Boy, I feel better. My panic attacks have stopped. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I feel way better.
Right.
I'm feeling really good. I've got a girlfriend and I really love, this is great. But when Sebadoh started touring, even if at its most dysfunctional, I found it incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
The hardest thing about it back then was like, trying to make sure your girlfriend knew you were miserable,
Right.
which is part of it. Make sure that your girlfriend knows that you are miserable because you are in a deeply, deeply codependent relationship and you need to do that. But I mean, I loved it. I remember like when Sebadoh started touring, I mean, I got to go live everything all over again with a totally different vibe. And that's kind of was the other thing too, is like, I think we should be as fucking natural as possible. And
in the Sebadoh tour video, there's a chunk that is in Portland. There's like a jam session that happens at the end. There's more hard drug representation in the Sebadoh tour video because of Slayer Hippie from Poison Idea being backstage versus the Pantera thing.
There were also two guys. There was two guys backstage that same night who I found out much later robbed banks. So it's like, and they were our friends.
Yeah, no, Portland is magical that way.
Just like Eric Matthews.
Oh yeah, and that guy backstage who's just talking about the word vicarious to you.
He's the guy who threw the bottle. He passed away.
Yes, I know that.
Passed away a while ago. But my theory is he threw the bottle because he was a musician. He was watching Sebadoh do our bullshit, which really he was like a real musician. Like for a real musician watching Sebadoh walk out on stage and do that shit and then like end it with like an absolutely pointless, like extremely stoned, drunk, like jam,
Yes.
stumbling jam with our weird buddies. So, I mean, like that, I think it was like the last straw for him and he's like, fuck them.
But it's amazing. How can you, like, if this was in camera editing, I just love that you had the camera on when somebody's saying, oh, I talked to American Music Club and they were happy to be in Portland, and then it's gone. It's like such a great thing to capture.
All of it was total luck. It was like on and off. And I rarely went back and were like, even at the time going, oh, that was too much. I did it once and I almost ruined like some of the best footage in the video, which is Eric Gaffney going to Gaffney, South Carolina, which I think I missed some of that, but my God, taking Eric to Gaffney, California. I mean, excuse me, to Gaffney, South Carolina, to take that guy to a town with his name was like, and he loved being filmed for that too. He's like, hold on for a sec. I'm going to go back there and then you're going to film me walking right up to the sign. I'm like, fuck yeah, Eric. I was like, tell me what to do. God damn it. Have some fun. Oh, this one's sitting right on the highway, right next to this huge peach. Have you seen the peach, the Gaffney peach?
Yeah.
This water tower made of an enormous, beautiful peach. An incredible sight. It says Gaffney. Right.
Oh my God. Well, and also in your video, at the end, you say that I stopped bringing my video camera on tour because it made people uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. The end. So is that true? Did you just like, I'm just done with that? That was like, I'm just going to put this away.
When we did our Harmacy touring or Bake Sale and maybe Bake Sale and Harmacy, our crazy friend got a video camera and he filmed. So I actually have a bunch of that. That's where I excerpted the thing with me and the micro jammer.
Right.
But the video is by and large unwatchable. And I'm like, do I have time to sit around and can I really spend 3 hours going through one tape?
I don't know. You got a fan here. Someone will probably come on and want to talk about that to me. So,
no, but the thing is, I did take the camera at certain points during all those tours and caught some pretty funny stuff. Like did my own kind of like quick edit, on the fly edit stuff. But our buddy like really thought it was really interesting to like that. Oh, here's somebody saying something funny and the camera's like moving around and you're like, you can't hear what the person saying. And like, it's fucking murky as fuck. And cause I don't know. I like to feel like I feel a kinship with Dimebag Darrell, although I think he is actually a mental giant in comparison to myself. I, honest to God, I'm like really sorry somebody took that guy out, because he was, once he actually overcame, I mean, I'm sure, I would hope so. It's hard for those guys and like alcohol and shit too. That's one thing about this video too. What like it really brings a really dark. Well, it's actually the video is legitimately dark. That's the other. The whole thing is like so raw and unflinching. And when I say it's dark, you're like, oh, these dumb guys. I'm like, it's not that. It's like, it's dark on like the level of like the human condition. It is dark. It actually really, I think it's a really important document to understanding America too. The way that shit, like what they represented, the sort of this really, the gap, they were tribal. Like that's what's really fascinating. And that what I, again, would tie it to hardcore and stuff is that the music itself is very tribal and atonal. Like the real versions of it, the not false, the real metal and hardcore are like almost totally non-melodic. That's people really, that's a really big point of it. It's like people who really love that really stripped down. I mean, they can be very tuneful. But I think that's why there's so few good metal songs like of that ilk, but good ones of that ilk, of that extreme ilk, are like incredible. Like you're like, oh my God, guy has opened up. These guys are fucking raining fire, and this is amazing. But that only happens very rarely. And I mean, it's not even worth like it's like you can just anyway. There's many records. I'm always like, there's one good song on that record at least. I'm like, at least like, well, there's a New Strokes record. There's a good song on that record. I don't know, but I know it's there. It's totally there. But when these like metal bands just like just sort of were rolling into this more and more unmelodic, like even speed metal, like fucking Metallica, like Kill 'Em All by Metallica is a fucking power pop masterpiece. It's so fucking melodic, right?
I love that record.
Master of Puppets, super melodic. I mean, they maintain, that's why they're so big. They never let that melodic part of them be totally stripped away from them. But other bands, absolutely, they just started this steamroller, and this is what relates to the guy from Exodus whose book I read, because he himself, it's like, he's my age, but he's like, I'm just committed to a life of extreme music. You're like, oh God. I'm like, this is it. And there's a fucking beautiful end quote in fucking Vulgar video. Phil Anselmo is addressing the audience. And he says, it's like, I fucking recorded it, but it's really funny because I've never forgotten about it, and I think about it a lot, and I had forgotten that it had come from the Vulgar. It's like he goes like, we don't want to make he goes through this whole thing like, we're gonna make a record that like we're not gonna make, they're just like, we're gonna make a big ass mean fucking record, and that's what it's gonna be. And then and his last two sentences are, it's so fucking great. He's like, we don't want to make a good record. We want you to listen to it and say, what the fuck is wrong with these people? And I was like, oh my God. He's like, you want to make a record that makes somebody say, what the fuck is wrong with that person? And yeah. I'll tell you though, and really a lot of my early shit, my early Sentridoh, early Sebadoh, absolutely, like that was it. You want to make a piece of music that makes people go like, is it bad or is it good? No, like, I don't know, but what the hell is wrong with these people? Wow. And so there is this, for as extreme as that is, and what an incredible, thankfully lightweight that I was at that period of time. Although I mean, I got into some stuff after that, but never. By 93, I was just a happy beer drinking, pot smoking boy. I was like, right. I was like, that's it. We weren't even like doing a lot of whiskey and stuff. I was like, well, I do that, right. Like kind of, it's just like, yeah, you drink what, 25 beers a day. It's not a problem. You start in the morning and your high actually peaks, hopefully, well, maybe with the help of some, pseudo ephedrine, you could be 100% at 11 o'clock at night, but you're drinking all day, and that's just the way it is. You're doing long hits and drinking all day long, and that's what I love about this video. Is that what I loved about watching it now? I was like, oh my god, it really, because sometimes I find myself wondering, like, I'm like, God, why do I have such a hard time with like normal life and schedules and and like, why do I kind of struggle, and why am I kind of obsessive, and why am I still, I'm like, I'm still kind of I really still like alcohol and drugs, but I manage them pretty well. But hey, I mean, I think I manage them great. But I still have this whole part of my existence that lived like that, like where you're just like going from place to place, and maybe not at that extreme energy level and destructive, honest to God, destructive. Like Sebadoh were so emotional. Our little things were so emotionally nuanced and like, but we still were kind of like we still play. I remember when we did the Harmacy tour, and we're going through a bunch of Harmacy recordings right now. Like we did a ton of like hardcore songs, like just like, we had a whole little suite in our set where we did that. Right. And this is when the band was actually like, we were kind of at our peak. And
I think I remember that. I mean, you were doing that live, right?
It was like Bob Fay was doing a lot better than I remember. And we were kind of at our peak, like Harmacy was out. And even though that whole scene and that was all kind of fucked up, and didn't end well. But when I was watching that video, I'm like, oh my God. And realizing that a lot of those guys, like the metal guys who are from that era and who are my peers, a whole bunch of them are dead and then did not fucking, because it is actually a really, really hard life that those guys lead. And they don't, like, even if they're like huge, they're like Slayer or whatever, it's like just the relationship of like drugs and alcohol to what they do. Like you gotta be a kind of extraordinary to really like outrun that, especially if you've experienced that level of success. But the mania surrounding that, the crowd shots in the Pantera video, the mayhem that was actually going on around the shows, like, they truly, like, it was tribal, and it was really, they were channeling an enormous amount of like fucking energy,
Yeah, even in the credits it says this video is dedicated to all the fans and friends we made on the road. We drank with you, we smoked weed with you, flat cold jammed together. Let's do it again forever. Yes, this tape is made. This is like preaching to people. This is how we live. Join us. And I experienced a bit of that in Guided by Voices too. It was like people like to match the band, match the energy.
Yeah.
Like it was like real, like they want to fly close to the sun. And even before I joined the band and I was a fan, I couldn't hang. I couldn't do it. But then when you're in it, you're just like, yeah, this is my job, kind of, I guess.
It's kind of a full-time job when you're on tour, because as I understand it, it's like there's a lot of ritual in the band. So it's like that are really important, which is fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of rituals, and there's a lot of talking, a lot of communication, a lot of talk about music, like a lot of, that's really cool. Pantera, we're all
no.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like, you think, oh, wow. Guided by Voices drink a lot. Oh no. You know what? They don't.
We did go to bed.
They actually don't.
These guys did not go to sleep.
No, no, I mean, it's so, I mean, and then the drummer, Vinny and Darrell are brothers, and they're fucking like, I mean, the thing is, Vinny was, I think, in my opinion anyway, as far as that music went, I thought he was the grooviest drummer that I'd heard play that kind of music. Like, it all sounds like shit in general. I mean, just that kind of drumming and that kind of, it's like, it's rarely, there's the Slayer, there's a few people that But playing that fast, it's like, I don't know. He's a really cool drummer. They're actually they're a very good band. The music is absolutely monotonous, but they're very good at what they do. The videos that came after this, the home videos, like Vulgar Video 2, 3, whatever. No, it gets really sad then. Then they go into like really heavily hazing people and basically like, we'll give you $3,000 if you eat this whole cake. So it's like, and they also, the thing about Vulgar Videos, they go hardcore on some of the people that work for them, like really show like insanely unflattering shit. They humiliate them. The fact that any of this stuff would, like, that someone would be okay with what they did, like super, not just hazing. I mean, it's just like full on aggression against some of the people that worked with them. They're like, yeah, this guy's full of shit. Which is totally also, I mean, that's all true to fucking life.
Right.
But it's brutal.
But to put it on a major label VHS tape and feed it
it's
to
insane.
the public is like, wow.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, this is all really, this is where it becomes like a true work of art, where you're like, oh, this is like, fuck Harmony Korine.
Yes.
This is shit.
Right.
You like really, Harmony, he sets up these weird scenes and blah, blah, blah. I remember it's like Vulgar Video. Like it out fucking Harmony Korine's him. It lacks the really arty scenes, I suppose. But even then, actually, they're very creative. The way that they cut this video, they cut a little movie together.
Yes, the horror movie.
They cut a little horror movie. They got all their drunk backstage buddies to like help them make a horror movie based on a fake hand. They use fake blood and everything. It's fucking hilarious. I mean, it's terrible, but it's so cute and creative.
When you were showing this to people, could they hang with it? Could people get what you loved about it back then?
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay, cool. Because I never know. Because like I remember, one of the worst things was being so excited about something and then being in a room of people who just are not feeling it.
No. In our little crew, we all loved it.
Okay,
and then I would meet people on tour, like Pantera, like, oh my god, hell yeah! Let's take this moment and appreciate the genius of Vulgar Video by Pantera. It's true. I mean, it's like, let's just have a moment. Because the thing about it too is like every guy in the band is completely relatable. I'm like, oh my God, there is no pretense to any. I mean, Phil Anselmo's kind of a vibe, but still, he's just like the hardcore singer. That's what's funny about him too, and what ties it into hardcore is like he is the distillation of the heart. He's like, I am the hardcore frontman. Like I am the hardcore frontman. I say, I am here to judge you. Look at my eyes. I am here to say things that you don't want to hear. Just like he has this really funny, he almost doesn't fit with the other guys because they're all just like, fuck. They're literally brothers. I don't know what relation the bass player is to Dimebag and Vinny, but he's like the perfect faceless bass player guy. He just skulks around the scenes. It's awesome.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'd never heard Walk or any of these songs, right? And I was like, it was totally would have fit in the van. Like, I know somebody, I was in the wrong band or something.
Yeah.
I'm so shocked that like, it's not that far removed in a funny way from all the other shit that was going on.
Oh, well, everybody loved Helmet, but I guess that was earlier. Was that earlier than 93?
Yes, but still, it felt like that. You know what I mean? It was like,
I know it was like bona fide hate rock. You're like, oh yeah, this is a perfectly reasonable extension of all fucking angry shit we've been listening
somebody
to.
could have been like, this is some pig fuck band on AmRap, and you'd be like, oh, what do they call?
It's not that,
Pantera.
Truly,
okay.
That's true. That's true. It's really not that far removed from that at all.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked.
Except for the whittly diddly in it. That's different.
Yeah,
but
that's amazing.
I do have one more very important piece of information. Unfortunately, I wanted to do more research on this. But Skid Row put out a video at the same time, a home video.
Oh.
Yes. And there's crossover between the Skid Row home video and the Pantera home video.
Is it the Kiss stuff in the baseball games?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't remember because I couldn't find the Skid Row video.
Right.
But I know there's crossover. The Skid Row video is incredible, too, because it's basically all about Sebastian Bach, who was easily the most... He's like top 10 lead vocalist of all time, even though I don't know if I've ever heard a song that I've liked him singing, but I do like... 16 in Life's okay, but he... Like, this is his peak, and he shows up in the Pantera video at his, like, where he is, like, wearing leather pants.
Yep.
No shirt. A fucking mane of blonde hair. He looks like he's 7 feet tall, and he is a fucking, like, Nordic god. He looks incredible. Like, I have to be, I mean, I've had very few man crushes in my life. Very few. And that I've always been attracted to very charismatic men. Like I've had friends who were like, one of my early friends was just this very, very charismatic, super domineering, kind of like very traditionally good looking guy. And I just believed anything he said and thought he was awesome. Like, Sebastian Bach, like, dear God, like I'm so entertained by that guy. I can't even now when he's like, well, this is my house and here's all my Kiss memorabilia. I'm like, you're still great.
Well, it sounds like for episode 300, we know what we're going to talk about.
but
That's the Skid Row VHS tape.
Yeah. But he's in the Pantera video looking the way that he looks next to all because the thing about Pantera, and this cannot be understated, is it's gross. Like everybody is ugly. Everything is ugly. It's like, It's just scuzzy. It's total dirtbag from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Sebastian Bach. I don't know. And do you know whose hair they cut at the end?
No.
It might be Tommy. It might be Tommy Lee. You got to look it up. You have to look it up because I did not have time to look it up. They shave a rock star's head off at the end, and he's beautiful. And I'm pretty sure he's like a total LA guy, long black hair, but totally chiseled.
Yeah, but I don't think it's Tommy Lee. I couldn't figure out who that was.
Who is it? But he's like he's in a band. He's at something because he was like total LA. He's like total hair metal guy.
Yeah, they convinced him to like, let's do it. Okay.
Like, we're going to save this fucking hair metal guy's head. And they did. It's like they totally are. They did it. It's amazing.
Yeah, he looks good.
The guy is totally into it because he's like, fucking hell yeah, bow down to Pantera. It's like, who will not shave their head at fucking Pantera? Have you in your, like, who wouldn't do that? Like, I would have done that.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about, Lou. You know, at the end of every episode, I asked the same question, but I tailored depending on what we're talking about. So on a scale of judging the Vulgar video VHS tape, as well as your lovely work with the Sebadoh Tour VHS, what would you most want to do with Pantera? Would you want to drink with them, smoke weed with them, flat cold jam with them?
Well, you do all three. There's no do one or the other.
That's what I have written down here. As you
all
can see, all three.
What do? I run away. I run back to my bus. I get into my bunk. I run away from that. That's what happens now. Because if you do that, there is actually a very good chance that you will perish. Like,
yes.
You will die.
Or your head will be shaved.
Your head will be shaved and you'll be having a terrible arrhythmia and thinking that you're dead, and yeah, you'll actually die. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would have had to been, had I had that experience. Yes, hopefully all of those things. Hopefully ending like with us doing Minor Threat. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, they did cover Poison Idea, the Badge, so they know.
I think a lot of those guys too have there's a lot of crossover, like musical taste crossover with those guys. Like a lot of Like the book I read by the guy, and what's his name, Gary? I'm not sure, but he, the guy from Exodus, his formative records, several of them were mine. I'm like, oh, okay.
Lou, I couldn't have thought of a better 150th episode to have. And no one was going to bring this to the show but you. So thank you. You rule.
I really encourage everyone.
Get the links, everyone. It's in the show notes. Watch it. And then, maybe walk away from it.
Maybe be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to be like, no fucking way. But if you are of a certain sensibility, maybe a certain age. I was going to watch it with my son, but unfortunately, then when it started, I was like, I think I'm kind of glad I'm not watching this with my son, even though I would watch anything. We're like big. We watch every Harmony Korine. We total. We go for weird and gross. And so I was like, yeah, man, we should watch the Pantera video together. But he's not here today. So
yeah, you're like Trash Humpers followed by Vulgar video.
Yes. Vulgar video should be in the Criterion. So someone I really do want all of these parts between the videos excerpted in one strand. And I'm gonna look on YouTube, and if it hasn't happened, I may have to do it. I may have to devote a day to transferring the Vulgar video and cutting out those fucking songs.
Thank you for listening to Revolutions Per Movie. We release new episodes every Thursday on your favorite podcast app and additional bonus episodes every Sunday on our Patreon. The show is a completely independent affair, so the best way to support the show is through our Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionspermovie, where you can get weekly bonus episodes and shows, exclusive limited edition flexi discs and records and CDs featuring guests that have appeared on the show, and other exclusive goods sent to you just for joining. You can follow us on social media at Revolutions Per Movie and also find out more information about our various guests in the episode show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.